Good afternoon and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. We are going to make a really pretty card today. I'm starting with my little mat that I can do anything on here because I'm going to show you how to make your own chipboard. I'm sure you already know how to do that, but just in case we have somebody that's new to this, I'm going to show you that process. And we're just going to be making these flourishes, and then I'm going to show you how to make one, and then this is also homemade chipboard. So I'm just going to do this. I have some made because sure as the world, if I do this on camera, it'll go poorly. And so I have some already made, but there are a couple of different, you want to use liquid glue. You definitely want to use a liquid adhesive. The Tombow Mono I like for doing things like this because it doesn't dry quite as quickly, but it's very tacky, so it sticks to you. It's a little harder in that sense. The Nuvo Deluxe is amazing, but it dries a little fast, and it's what I use 99% of the time for most stuff. But I think for this today, since it stays a little wetter, you have a little more ability to move it around. I think I'm going to use this for this today. Like I said, if this goes poorly, I have some stuck over here that I can use, but just a tiny little bit of glue. The other thing with the Nuvo Deluxe, it has a little bit smaller tip, so it makes it easier to really get a narrow line on there. But I've just put a little tiny bit of adhesive around, and then I'm going to try to line these up the best I can. And another problem videoing this, I can't get my head right over it, so that makes it a little more difficult. And these are very narrow. If you're doing letters, or most of the time your die cuts that you're going to be stacking to make your own chipboard are not as delicate and have as thin lines as these are. But anyway, you just line it up the best you can. And you know, if it isn't absolutely positively perfect, it still looks fine. But see how this is wanting to stick to me? If you do it with the Nuvo Deluxe, it doesn't do that as badly. And then if I lay it back down there where that glue is, it'll really want to stick to that. Because the Tombow Mono is very tacky. So I'm going to make these 3 layers. You can make them as many as you want. And this top layer, I'm doing in a glitter, because that's what I actually am using for today. And so it's a little better chipboard. This was just some cheap white, not chipboard, cardstock, very cheap white cardstock. I can't see if I've even got glue on that. So it's pretty flimsy, where the glitter cardstock is a little nicer. So here's our glitter layer. You may not be able to even see that that's glitter, but it is. So that's going to be my top layer. Like I said, I normally have my face right over this to see what I'm doing. So it's a little bit difficult. And then you can pick it up and move it around to line it up. And the Tombow allows you to do that. The Nuvo, you've got to be pretty quick with it, but it's not as sticky and it doesn't stick to you. But we did pretty good. That's not bad. See how it stuck to me. That is not too bad. Okay, so we're going to lay that off. I'm going to get this mat out of the way, and so that I can get my lights back on. That mat, and I've got to wash my fingers a little bit. That mat really has glare because it's so shiny. So now I can get my lights back on where I can, hopefully we can see a little better. So today we are going to make a black and white card. I started playing with this black and white stuff and I just really liked it. And so I'm going to show you several variations that you can do with this, but I just really kind of liked it. So that's what I'm playing with today. Let's see if I can get my stuff over here. I am going to very, very, very lightly ink the edges. I'm going to do use this black and white polka dot, the solid white, and then I'm going to put it on a black cardstock. I'm going to ink the edges with the black soot. And this is a really active, there's no downtime in anything today. So I'm very quickly going to do our twist, our little devotional while I'm doing this. The scripture comes from Psalms 51:12, and it says, "Restore to me the joy of my salvation, and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me." You know, I think sometimes as Christians, we should, I know that we should be the happiest people on earth. We have the promises, we have the promise for joy, we have hope, we know that we have eternal life, we know that no matter what happens, that we're good to go. And yet sometimes we walk around and we don't reflect that. We just don't reflect that joy. And when we don't, why would the world look at us and go, wow, I want what they've got? You know, we have to reflect that joy that's present in us. We shouldn't look like we should be on a life support system and going around with the gloom and doom. There's a lot of in the world going on today that can give us gloom and doom. But as Christians, we should not reflect that. We should reflect the joy that's present. And if you remember when you first gave your heart to the Lord, you wanted to go tell everybody. And so that should be the way we feel and the way we act in the face that the world sees that we are full of joy. All right, so now I'm going to just glue this layer. This is an A2 card. So the card itself is 5.5 by 4.25. This white layer is 5.25 by 4. And then this black and white polka dot layer is, what is it? 3 3/4 by, where are we? 5. Be 3 3/4 by 5. Each one is just, this is 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So each layer is just 1/4. Whoa. See what I mean about that Tombow? If I was doing this with Nuvo, that would have never moved. So only when I really want to be able to maneuver it, like when I'm putting it on to even it up on the card base and the layers, do I use that Tombow usually. But anyway, now we have our two layers on there. Now we're going to put a bow on here, and I want to put a ribbon across here. So I'm using, since I've got the dark background, I'm going to use the white ribbon. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to lay that ribbon out, and I'm going to run a line of glue down that ribbon. Definitely using the Nuvo for this, not the Tombow. Okay, now if I can get that, like I said, I've got that Tombow on my finger and it does not want to turn loose. Now to line this ribbon up, all I'm going to do on my mat, I'm going to line that, see this black layer, I'm going to line that up on one of these lines. And I want it just about 1 inch up. So I'm going to take my ribbon, see if I can get it untwisted, and I'm just going to lay it down across there using my line as a guide from one side to the other. Smooth it down across there. Stretch it good and tight. Smooth it down. Then turn it over and glue those little edges to the back of that. Now we've got our line that across there, and it's moderately straight. Then we can start building our card. Now, on our card today, I wanted to get this on there because things build up and around from there. So I'm going to use our flourishes, and I think I've just about worn this flourish die out, and I didn't think you could wear a die cut out, but I think I just about have. So here's the one we actually made today. It's not quite dry. Anyway, it would go right up here. And here's one that I had I'm going to let this one continue to dry. Here's one that I had already made. And I need to clip this little part off to fit these together. because we're going to fit these together on this top part of our card. Something like that. Yeah, pretty much like that. To get, and I don't, like I said, I don't know if you can tell, but this is white glitter paper. And it really looks pretty on this black and white. So let's just go ahead and glue that down. I've got to get that Tombow off of my finger. I'm going to stick to everything. Sorry about that. I still think it's on there. So let's put a little glue on here and glue this down. See how easy that Nuvo comes out? I love this liquid adhesive. It's very expensive. I think I was telling them in a video the other night. I think I ordered this here a while back. It was like 14 something a bottle. So you do not want to waste it. So we're just going to put that kind of coming up from that ribbon line right there. And then we're going to put this one kind of building off of that one. Hope y'all have had a good day. It's been pretty here. It's really like a spring day out there today. The dogs were outside playing and chasing the squirrels. I had to bring them in because my Doberman was barking so much. I was afraid the neighbors were going to be upset with her. My neighbors are really good. We all have dogs, so we don't get upset with each other. But anyway, I brought her in so she wouldn't bark so much. Okay, so there are our flourishes that we have on there. Then we're going to build a cluster of flowers, about 3 little clusters of flowers. And so I'm going to show you, well, I don't have them over here. What did I do with, oh, there they are, yes. These are the flowers that I used. I used flowers from this Tim Holtz die cut, and I think I used this one, and this one. I think every other, not the largest one, and then every other one, I think are the ones that I used from this. But anyway, we're going to build some clusters of flowers. Now, you can either go ahead and kind of curl these now, or you can wait till you glue them on if you're more comfortable, you know, if you want to work with them flat and then wait until you get everything glued on and dry, then you can curl them up. But they really need to be curled up just a little. We're going to put a cluster right up here in the corner, and I think I'll just go ahead and curl these up. Just kind of curling with your fingernail is usually what I do. Oh, this is a different, this is not off of that die. This is a punch that I have. I'll show you that in a minute. It has 3 little flowers on it. I'll show you that in just a minute. Let me go ahead and curl this one. Then I'll glue them all 3 at once. Just to give them some movement, some dimension. You just don't want them flat. Even if you mail them, whatever you do, it doesn't flatten them out completely, even when you put them in the envelope. So I'm going to just put my glue on there. Go ahead and stick that down. Put that next one on it. Any die cut or punches that you have that you can get. So you need 3 layers, at least on this big cluster. Anything that you can get 3 that will stack would work very nicely. Okay, the one that I'm going to put here in this little middle part, I'm just doing 2 flowers. I think the other 2, I think I'll just do 2 flowers on those, but I wanted 3 up there on that one. So there's the smaller one. I mean the bigger one actually in this little middle cluster. And this one. But I love making my own chipboard. Never can you find what you want in chipboard. I wanted these flourishes today, and then I wanted a sentiment down there in something that would, you know, stand up and not just be flat on my paper. And there's no way you could just go find flourishes like that. Plus, I'm ended up making about 30 of these cards. I needed 15 for our church ministry, and then my daughter needed some, and then I usually keep some for my own personal use. So it ended up being about 30 cards. So I was, there's no way I could have afforded to buy, even if I found the chipboards that I wanted. That would have been expensive. So to make your own chipboard, it just takes a little time to do that much die cutting. Sometimes you actually have dies, more than one of the same die in a package, and that makes it really nice where you don't have to cut as many times. But it's so now we have our flourishes, we've got our ribbon on there, we have our 3 little flower layered flowers. So I'm going to put a rhinestone in each one of those little flowers. Just to kind of top them off. See if I can use my jewel picker. I love this thing. My friend got it for me for Christmas, and oops, here I am bragging on it now. It is awesome. There we go. And the good thing, like I got that glue smeared all around with the Nouveau Deluxe, it dries clear and matte, where most everything will dry clear, but it does not dry matte. And so this just doesn't show. You can just make as big a mess as you want to, and it won't show. And believe me, I need that. So now we have our little rhinestones in the middle of our flowers. So I want to top this down here off with a bow. And I wanted to show you how I tie bows. That was one of the things that people ask occasionally is, how do you get your bows? So I'm quite sure on camera I'll do a terrible job. And especially with all of this sticky stuff. I'm going to try one more time to get this. See if I can spray a little water on my fingers. Sorry that I had to do my hand washing here. Maybe that'll get it. So I'm going to show you a couple of options on the bow for this. I'm going to let that dry while I'm doing this. But I've got my ribbon, and I'm just about out of this ribbon. I've got to buy more before I can finish. I've got a stack of bows made over here, but I've got to buy more before I can finish these cards. So to tie a bow, there are many different ways to do it. This is just how I do it. I just take it and I make a loop. Just loop your ribbon. And then I take these ends and bring them around like this. I knew on camera this would be harder than it is normally. And then just bring it through here and pull it just like you would a bow. And then you can just start sizing it and doing, getting it proportionate. Bring some in and keep pulling it tight so that your knot's tight. And then pull your little ends in till you get them the size you want it. And then cut your little tails off the length you want them. Kind of flounce it a little bit to give it some shape. That one may be a little long. And you get a pretty good bow. And so this one's double. It's a little harder to do a double one than it is a single one, of course. But that's how I do it. I'm sure there are a jillion ways to do it, but that's how I do it. So I'm going to want this bow down here. I haven't really played with this one, so I'm going to lay it over here because I've kind of got this one shaped the way I want it. So I'm going to put this bow right down here, and then I'm going to put, I made my board, my chipboard. I don't know why that word, I couldn't find it. And I'm going to put that right down here. And then there's my bow. And I think that makes a really pretty card. And then we will put that, of course, on our card base. We're going to put that on her. But I want to show you another way to make a bow. If if for some reason you can't tie that, I'm going to show you another way to make a bow. Let me scoot that right out of the way. So I usually cut one that I'm going to tie around them, and then I've got 2 whites and 2 blacks. And I'm just going to lay them across that. And if you have trouble with it, you can just washi tape that down. We call this a messy bow. A messy bow. So now you've got your ribbons down there. Then bring these 2 up and just tie a knot. You don't even have to tie a knot. Just tying it once is enough. Okay, then pull that up and start shaping it. Just kind of spreading those out. And then start cutting them off and trimming them at different lengths, depending on how big you want it, and different angles. I usually do different angles so that they don't all look alike. And just continued all of your little pieces, and then start spreading them out and getting them in whatever order you want them, like that. And then you could put, you might want to trim it down some more, but you could put that on there, just as cute and much easier, faster. Takes a little bit more ribbon. So if you're doing a lot of cards, you might consider that, but still, I think it's just as cute. So we're going to put this on here. I think I'm going to put it on the card base first, and then I'll put the blessed on there. It's probably a good idea to put this part on the card base before you do your flowers and everything, but sometimes I just don't like to work on that card base. So like I said, sometimes I go ahead and build my stuff if it isn't too much. Now, sometimes you really have to. So get your glue on the back of there. Kind of got close to the edge there. I don't want that on there. So I don't want it to come out from under it. That's the tombow, and it will show. So get that on your card base. I'm going to show you a couple of variations of this card that I like. You could use a glue dot. I'm just going to use a dot of my Nouveau Deluxe, and put my bow on there. Let's get these spread out just a little bit. I may have to use a glue dot. It's wet. Now that glue dot doesn't want to stick. Here we go. Of course, when it's dry, you can move these around. You can even glue them a little bit if you want to. And then let's get our little word on there. And this is white glitter on top, and I did put it on black just to kind of, you can't really see it, but you can kind of see it, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a pop, I think. But you could just as well do it all on white. I put blessed on these. You can, I had a loved cut out and done, and I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, there's your card. I thought this one turned out really pretty. I liked it. I think it's going to do well. And then I want to show you some variations of this card. So there's this one with the little flowers. Be sure you fluff your flowers. I don't know if you can see the shine, you know, in that glitter paper or not, but it really does dress it up. And then I want to show you, this one is just the opposite. It's done with the whiter, black and white, but the background is mostly white. And I did the flourishes and then the foundation of the flowers and the word in the black, and then use the black ribbon across here. Same black and white ribbon bow. But I thought that was pretty. And then this one, let's see if I can get all of these in your view. This one, I wanted to do something else. Like I said, I had a loved. I don't know what happened to it. I did, instead of doing the chipboard word, I just put a sentiment on there, and I put congrats. Put that there. And then I will put the bow. So the bow is kind of needs to be fluffed a little. Put the bow there. And I don't know. I probably will go ahead and put the ribbon across, but like I said, I'm just about out of ribbon. So, but I liked the sentiment and so I embossed it in the black on the white, and then put the black on the white. So it has 3 layers there, but I liked that as well. So anyway, a card that you could change up and use a lot of different ways. The white background with the black, using the primarily black chipboards. The blacker background using the white chipboards, and then using just a sentiment that you back so that you don't have to do your chipboards. And you can do these if you have a flourish or something you want to use. You can use them flat. I just decided to do the layers to make them into the chipboard just to give it some dimension, but you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't want to. Flat ones would be just as pretty. But anyway, there's 3 cards. Hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for joining me. I just appreciate that you visit my channel, and I appreciate you. Give me comments if you like the cards, and please no ugly comments, but appreciate you dropping by, and I'll see you soon. Have a blessed day.